So continuing our discussion, we have reached age of restoration, 1660 to 1700, a period of 40 years. Here we have Charles II, who became the King of England in 1660. But before beginning this video, we have a great news for all the English literature UGC NET and GATE aspirants that we have now released a crash course that only costs 999 rupees, where we are going to provide you with everyday video lectures, mock test, PDF material on our mobile application Limitless Literature. Download it from the Google Play Store today and get enrolled in our crash course that is going to help you in the next 50 to 60 days of your preparation. After he became the king, everything changed. Okay, as you know, earlier strict rules were there, Puritan rules were there, entertainment was banned, gambling was banned, life was supposed to be very serious, life was supposed to be very religious. But now people were ready to have fun again. They wanted entertainment, and Charles II was very different from the strict Puritan leader. Charles II loved parties, theatre, music, dancing and everything. So that is why people called him the Merry Monarch. The Merry Monarch means the happiest monarch. And he brought back all the things that Puritans had banned. Theatres reopened. For the first time, women also started to act in the stage. Okay, before that, the men used to play on the women's role. Okay, if there was a role of a woman, men used to play the role. But now women are given the opportunity to participate in the theatrical performances. So people celebrated festivals again. They started celebrating Christmas. Puritans forbid to celebrate Christmas. Okay, people could enjoy sports, gambling, dancing. Okay, the King's Court became famous for its party, okay, and entertainment. Charles II used to party every day, and he set the example that how to enjoy the life. And he had many girlfriends. He respected women. Yes, of course, he had many girlfriends. He encouraged artists, he encouraged writers, he encouraged musicians and everyone. So this new freedom affected new literature, how people wrote and what they should be writing in this particular age. So writers no longer had to focus only on the religious themes. Okay, they are not only writing on the serious themes, serious subjects. They could write funny plays, love poems, stories about everyday life. So that all created a big, tremendous change in the society. Even the language became more and more relaxed, more playful, as if the whole country is celebrating, including the language. Language is also celebrating. So after years of being serious and strict, everyone is enjoying this new turnaround in the life. But then an unfortunate thing happened for 1 year, and that is the Great Plague of 1665.
I ain't afraid of the dark, 'cause once you let the light in, you won't see the beautiful stars.
So the Great Plague of London 1665 occurred, and a lot of diseases were spread by flies, by rats, and this disease started spreading across London. 1665 to 1666, although it's just happened for 1 year. Okay, when weather becomes more warmer, okay, when it becomes more hot, so such type of diseases start spreading throughout the London, and the city of London becomes very dangerous place to live. It was like COVID-19. Okay, so rich people, including King Charles II, all those who can afford to leave London, they started living outside in other parts of England. But every week a lot of people died. A lot of people were gathered on the streets to lift the dead bodies from the streets. So just for 1 year, but it thrashed almost 1 lakh people. So 1 lakh people died in London only. So the plague finally stopped after the winters came. So winters came, all the rats and mice were died. The flies begins to die in winters. There was a writer who was writing diary at that time, which was Samuel Pepys. Okay, so Samuel Pepys used to record everyday life in his diary. He used to write about the terrible scenes he was looking around him through his eyes, his experiences of epidemic, and many writers were also influenced by such sort of events, and they also started writing on life and death during the 1665 of Great Plague of London. Now during when the Great Plague of London was happening, okay, side by side another incident occurred. That was the Great Fire of London. So Great Fire of London, actually there was a bakery where a small fire occurred, okay. The name of the bakery was Thomas Farner's Bakery. But at that time most of the London's buildings were made of wood and were built very close together. So the season was of summer. The small fire at the bakery spread quickly, and in no time the fire started to spread from house to house. The fire burned for 4 days and it almost impossible to stop the fire. So by the time the fire was finally stopped, it had destroyed about 13,000 houses. 13,000 houses. A lot of churches, almost 100 churches were burned, and a lot of important buildings were burned. People did not die much, but around 1 lakh people were left homeless. All these people had to live in temporary camps outside the city, and then the king decided to start new buildings. Yes, new buildings. He wanted to create something, a miracle on London. Okay, so he started using brick instead of wood, brick and cement for the first time instead of woods. So the streets were made wider. Okay, the churches were made. The magnificent new St. Paul's Cathedral was also built, which was burned during the same Great Fire of London 1666. Now again we have Samuel Pepys, who used to write down everything in his diary. He wrote about this incident also in his diary. That's also a UGC net question. He talked about 2 incidents in the library. That's a UGC net question. Okay, so his diary has already been asked many times in the competitive exams, because through his diary we come to know the exact history. Okay, as he was writing the present vividly things. He was writing, portraying every single thing from his eyes. So that's more valuable than any other document, than any other historical document at that period of time. So during this time, England and Netherlands, these 2 countries, these 2 islands were in war with each other. Okay, so they wanted to control the oceans, because they wanted to control the trade. So who would control the sea will also control the trade. So from here we can see the growing power of England to other countries, to the navy. Navy started using new and new tactics, new and new ships. So England became one of the world's strongest naval powers. England has a few victories, not completely they won. Netherlands won a lot of things, but the major point to discuss here is that English naval became the most powerful among Europe. So they colonized through this naval. India also they colonized. Okay, these wars also influenced writers of the time, who wrote poems and songs about sea battles and naval heroes. For example, John Dryden's a long poem, Annus Mirabilis 1666. The poem celebrated English victories over the Dutch. Another popular work was Andrew Marvell's The Character of Holland, which made fun of the Dutch and celebrated English power at the sea. This period saw important scientific development with the establishment of the Royal Society in 1660. Scientists like Isaac Newton made major discoveries and people became more interested in reason and science. In literature, as we have discussed, theatres were reopened in 1660, and the first time women started to play on the stages. Writers like John Dryden wrote new kind of plays. They wrote new kind of comedy, and it became very popular at that time. In 1666, he was also the first poet laureate, official poet laureate of England. This period also saw the rise of newspaper and journalism. So now years went by and Charles II died in 1685 because of kidney failure or some other disease. He proved to be a good king. After his death, his brother James II became the king. Now the problem is James II was Catholic. So people of England were again very much stressed that why always there is some Catholic king. coming into the England, because England is always been some Protestant land. Right from the beginning, from the Henry VIII, these English people were the Protestants. So people became very much worried. So now here what these Protestants, the leader of Protestants, did was they secretly wrote a letter to William of Orange. William of Orange was son-in-law of James II. Said that please come to our country and save us from your father-in-law. William of Orange was Protestant and he came from Netherlands and he took the throne. Okay, so he came with a lot of army, and on looking at this huge army, James ran away. James ran away to France. He was very much scared of William of Orange, and this change of kings were called as the Glorious Revolution. Glorious Revolution, why? Because it happened that for the very first time new king has come onto the throne without any bloodshed. With a peaceful revolution was there. So that's why this revolution is known as Glorious Revolution. Then Parliament did something very important. Before making the William Orange and his wife marry the new king and queen, they made them agree to a Bill of Rights. This bill limited royal power and gave more power to Parliament. It said that king or queen could not change laws without Parliament's agreement. They could not raise taxes without Parliament's approval. They had to be Protestant rather than Catholics. People had the right to petition the monarch. The Glorious Revolution marked a huge change in English history. It showed that Parliament could choose who should be the king or queen of England. So again, many writers now felt safer writing about politics, writing about religion, writing about all these things, the entertainment they have already written. So now England is once again under the rule of Parliament, and this period is also known as Restoration period, because it was started after the death of Oliver Cromwell, and in 1700 the Restoration period ended. So now England has become more modern. London was rebuilt again after the Great Fire of London. So there were scientific advancement, scientific discoveries. People are sailing from one country to another country. Okay, so we will be discussing a lot of other things in the 18th century literature in the next video. So that 18th century literature is for 100 years, from 1700 to 1800. Okay, so we will be discussing all the ages in the next video. That's it for this. I will see you soon. Thank you.